All right. So Wyatt Lawrence says, can you talk about the symbolism of Atlantis? um, yeah, and Dorothea K has a great concept. She says, Wyatt Lawrence, one of the first things Jonathan caught me with was the story of Atlantis is the flood story from the perspective of the pagans, of the people left behind. And maybe the fascination with it is a way of our civilizations trying to dig out hidden Greco-Roman roots. Yeah, I think that that's the right way of thinking about it. It's the vision of Atlantis is in some ways seeing the civilization that was there before the destruction in its positive guise and not taking into account what led to its destruction. Because the I think that the Atlantis, I wonder if like in some of the myths there is the suggestion that Atlantis fell because of their own corruption, or if it's only just like a freak accident or something that led to its destruction. But I think that that's the way of understanding it, is the way people view Atlantis as the pre-flood civilization, as a civilization. So, if you don't like the idea of the flood, like in the biblical way, you can think about it more like we have an insight about some type of civilization that exists before our memory. And so we have a certain amount of memory that goes back a certain amount of time. But then there's like a break, around 7,000 BC, some around there, maybe. It's not exactly clear when, like, at the end of maybe at the end of the Ice Age, that there's a kind of break. And we don't remember anything before that. And then sometimes there are some things that appear as residues of something that is before that. And so I think that that's the best way of kind of understanding how we can apply the question of Atlantis to us now. And the best way of understanding it is that whatever is left of Atlantis, or whatever is left of a civilization that preceded ours, I mean, in the big scale, like in the Graham Hancock level, like before the Ice Age type vision, unlike people like what Graham Hancock are saying, I think that whatever is left of that is going to be decaying residue and is extremely dangerous to us. And is going to be and if you try to unearth that stuff, it is going to be completely destructive to us, because it's basically, you're going to be unearthing psychic residue, like the residues, the decaying residues of an ancient civilization. And so it will be zombified, like it will be zombie natured in the way it appears to us. It will be a projection of all our wildest ideas, of all our desires, of all our fears, is projected into this kind of decaying structures. And you can see it. Like, watch the Graham Hancock types. Like, watch what they say about these ancient civilizations, and they're just projecting their fantasies into them. But that goes in all kinds of directions, especially if you're trying to embody it now. So if you listen to all the crazy people, like all the Anunnaki, whatever people, like all the kind of people that talk about the Nephilim, but in a positive way, like that these great aliens that founded our civilizations. There's an example of the influence that Atlantis can have on us now. And this idea of like resurrecting ancient knowledge that has been forgotten, for millennia. It's like, right? It's the biological equivalent of finding some like old disease that's hidden in the ice And you're like, well, this is interesting. We don't have any connection. This disease, these germs and these viruses, like they have no connection to any of the viruses and germs that exist in our world today. What could they be? And we start to probe them and pick them apart and look at them. And meanwhile, like they're killing us because they are disconnected from us. They're basically poison, right? They're like I said, they're decayed. They're decaying things. You don't eat decaying things. You don't eat things that are completely unrelated to your identity, because the danger that it will destroy you is huge, especially if you approach these things with desire. Yeah, so that's what I think, you know. I mean, it's going to be interesting in the next few years. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to come out. Like a lot of weird stuff is going to appear on the horizon, you know, and the insight, the insight that I have, and that not just me, but a lot of people have. And if you listen to the conspiracy theorists and you listen to them from one step removed, which I always like to do, as you know, and it's not that, it's like I look at that as a kind of tuning fork, or as a almost like as a divination tool, right? So you watch these conspiracy theorists come up with crazy ideas and wild, like, you know, mythological sounding ideas, but when you look at them, you're like, oh, there's an insight there that is actually fascinating. And one of the insights, and now it seems to be confirmed, like with the recent naming of the AI, the $500 billion American AI infrastructure project, the fact that it's named Stargate is wild. Like it is connecting things together in ways that is just is wild. I might make the Patreon video this month about that. But just a quick resume. There seems to be a connection narratively, a narrative connection between AI, the UAP stuff, psychedelics, and then also transhumanism, transgenderism. All of these things seem to be related in terms of narrative, and they have to do something like the capacity to tap into strange identities and the desire to weaponize those strange identities and intelligences, alien intelligences, or strange intelligences, the capacity to weaponize those for power, like to use those to gain power for ourselves. So, so pay attention to that. But I think I'm going to make I'm going to make this month's video on that. Hopefully it will make sense.